morning, everybody. It is 9:01 and we have virtual people throughout the state waiting for us to begin. So everyone say good morning, virtual audience.
Good morning, virtual audience.
Thank you for being here again. Some of you, it's your first day, so we're going to do just a few housekeeping items. Some of you have come back another day, so thank you for doing that. Are you all looking at your calming kits on your table? Raffle is at lunchtime. So make sure you're around. If you're not around and you don't have your identification on you, your ticket, then you don't get a bag. No, I'm just kidding. So let's keep going. Good morning, everybody. Second day, 6th annual Inclusion Collaborative State Conference. Thank you all for being here. We are inclusioneers. Raise your hand if you're an inclusioneer. Woo-hoo!
Yes.
In your black bag, have you all noticed you have your little inclusioneer men? So it's not necessary to take them off the table. We had a few go MIA last night, but that's okay. We know they're going to be out there doing their work, so that's good. So the goal today is that we have an impact on equity, so thank you all for coming and being part of this. And again, not to be a downer, but we could have an emergency. So it is October, and one of our superintendent's priorities is safety. Thank you for making that happen. So if we have an emergency and we need to evacuate the building, we will go out that door. Those of you watching an overflow will follow your room monitors, and we'll be going out to our parking lot over here, which does have cars in it, but we've done it before. We can do it again. Follow the staff. All of us wearing shirts like this, which, by the way, you can buy out in the lobby if you'd like one. Follow us, and we will record who's there and make sure everyone is safe. I do recommend taking your purse, just because I have a story of my own. And please stay with your group until everyone's released. A show of hands, who are CPR, currently, first aid, certified trainers? Look around. These could be your friends. Okay, good. And we have 6 AEDs located in our building, and we have 1 in our lobby. So hopefully no one will need it, but we have it, okay? We also have a nursing mother's room. If anyone needs it, it's off to this side. I can tell we need to listen with our ears. I say that a lot at my house. We want to make sure everyone knows that the Santa Clara County Office of Education is one of the county offices of ed in the state of California. And we don't just do conferences, we do a lot of other things, technical assistance, business, instruction, technology, and we serve 31 school districts in our county. We also have 22 county board authorized charter schools, and we provide not only support services, but a lot of direct services. So raise your hand if you're a SPED employee who does direct services. Jamel is in the house. I saw you guys, so thank you for being here. We appreciate that. We have quite a few employees who do direct service, and they're the ones that make it all happen. So just to give you a little bit of background of what we do, we have an amazing county board of education, and their picture is there. They're very supportive of our Inclusion Collaborative and supporting our work. And then our biggest champion is our superintendent, Dr. Dewan. So it's my great pleasure to invite her up for just a little second day welcome. In case you haven't seen her, she's amazing, and tell her how great she is, because she makes inclusion happen.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you back to the second day of the 6th annual Inclusion Collaborative State Conference. We know that yesterday was a very full day. We started with that powerful keynote from Glenn Singleton, who encouraged us to have courageous conversations to identify and address systemic inequities, including structural racism, and to create a climate that empowers our most marginalized students. And I think one of his most powerful messages was also his closing message about the importance of self-care and recognizing how we may be impacted by our own experiences, the trauma of others around us, our incredible work ethic, and all the things that we do to support children and families. And it's important that we also take care of ourselves and each other. We also then heard from Dr. Rich Villa, who shared a framework and some tools that support the practice of co-teaching which we know is a very critical component to being able to provide inclusive practices throughout our school campuses and ensuring that our students can access the curriculum on par with their grade level peers. And there were so many amazing sessions throughout the building representing all of the different counties, school districts, and other partners. And I want to give a shout out to Crystal Lamonto, our San Benito County Superintendent, who co-facilitated a session yesterday, and we're grateful for our partners in the other counties. I'm sure you can pick one or two that truly spoke to you and that made you reflect on your own practices or gave you some new tools that you might consider using back in your settings. And to think about this journey of inclusive instruction and what we can all do to move us farther and farther along to the place where we're all insisting on inclusion in our classroom settings every day. From person first language to universal design for learning to equity through literacy, each presentation provided thoughtful insight on inclusive practices for all of our learners. Today promises to be just as powerful. This morning, you're going to see firsthand the impact that inclusion has made at one of our local schools, Prospect High in the Campbell Union High School District. Their story will truly inspire you. And then we have a full day of sessions. As I mentioned yesterday, the Santa Clara County Office of Education cares deeply about all of our students, and we do strive to provide positive opportunities and learning for all of them. I know that this is a vision that you all share. That's why you're giving so generously of your time to be with us. And I thank you again for joining these 2 days of learning, conversation, and reflection. Together, we can give all of our students the necessary tools and experiences, create the settings and the environments necessary for them to thrive in school and to thrive in life. Please take what you've learned these past 2 days and make the most of this opportunity to truly make a difference in students' lives. You are leaders in this work, and your colleagues will benefit from your experiences. So please enjoy day 2, and may I introduce our board president, or are you doing that? Go for it. So I mentioned yesterday that our County Board of Education has been a longtime supporter of the Inclusion Collaborative. And in fact, every year they appoint a member of the board to serve as a liaison to our Warmanhoven Inclusion Advisory Board. And our president, Rosemary Kamei, for several years has been the liaison to the Inclusion Collaborative. She's an amazing champion for children, and even with her incredibly busy schedule, she made time to be with us today. So please join me in welcoming President Rosemary Kamei.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Dewan. You know, we are really fortunate here in Santa Clara County, working as a governance team with Dr. Dewan is tremendously rewarding, and we've been able to accomplish so much. In terms of the Inclusion Collaborative, it is something that is a high priority for me, and I know that I can speak on behalf of the board that it is a tremendously high priority for them as well. As you go through the day today, I know that many times you get all excited and you learn different things, you meet different people, and then you get back, and then the work of the day happens. So I would really, really like to suggest 3 things. Number 1, if you haven't signed the Pledge of Respect for Students with Disabilities, please do that. That would be one thing to do, right? And all of the forms are on your way out. It's by the door when you come in, and just leave them there in the box. It is a simple thing that you can do, and you can do it today if you haven't done it already. Number 2, there are a lot of different workshops. There are a lot of things that I'm sure you've learned yesterday and you're going to learn today. Take time to at least pick up 2 things that you're going to do. Even if you're just going to say, well, I'm going to just try it. 2 things to do. And 3, one of the things that I find as I talk to others is that they don't know about the good things that are happening. And so I really want to urge you to reach out to 3 friends, 3 colleagues, 3 parents. So 1, 2, 3. Sign the pledge, take 2 things back and do them, and 3 friends and colleagues that you can share stuff with. So if you can do that, you've done a lot. Because I think that, gosh, you know, I can't believe it's been 15 years, but it has grown. And we want it to continue to grow, and we want others to know about it because there's so many that just don't know. So I hope you have a wonderful day today, learn a lot, and share it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. We really appreciate it. And Dr. Dewan. We just want to remind you that this is the Inclusion Collaborative State Conference, and we want to make sure everyone feels welcome. Do you feel welcomed? Virtual people? Even if you're sitting alone at your computer, look at it and say, I'm welcome. Okay, and you belong. Because you will actually, if you do feel like you're welcome and you do feel like you belong, you'll be able to actually engage and learn things. So the whole goal is to network and meet other people, find out the bright spots in our state. We've got people from all over providing really good information for you, so this is your chance to do this. I just wanted to remind you what the Inclusion Collaborative is all about, and we want to make sure all individuals, regardless of abilities and disabilities, have access to equitable and high-quality inclusive educational and community environments. So we believe that, and everyone in their blue shirt can say it in the elevator when they greet you. Okay. We also want to acknowledge our staff. Without our super amazing Inclusion Collaborative staff, this would not happen. We have been working on this 24/7 for about 5 weeks straight, but we've done a lot of work beforehand. So if everyone can clap for our staff who have put this together. Thank you. Virtual people, hopefully you're doing it. If you see someone in this shirt, tell them thank you for coming back to work today, okay? I'm not sure if they'll be here tomorrow, but they'll be here today. And we also wanted to remind people if they want to buy a shirt, we have them out front. We have no dates on them, so you could wear them all year long. Isn't that great? Okay. Again, without Charmaine Warmenhoven, our friend, funder, and advisor, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. I truly value all she's done for me personally. She has made our Inclusion Collaborative stand out statewide, and she's also really emphasized that she wants the Inclusion Support Warm Line to be free for anybody. So you can call all over the state, they already do. Susan, she's not gonna like me, and Yolanda answer the phone in English and Spanish, and we get calls from all over the country, and sometimes different countries. But that was one of Charmaine's main emphasis, is that if you don't know, you don't know. We have a warm line, people can call and we can talk. We have frequent flyers, actually. And we have flyers out front, obviously, and in your bag. At any rate, conference goals are develop your relationships, get to know people here who are doing good work, make sure you get at least 2 things out of the program that you're going to go back and learn, and then make sure you understand and get a little bit of the research that goes on. We don't just make up inclusion. There's actually some data and research behind it, so we know that it does work when it's done in an intentional, thoughtful way. We always have our expectations, so I don't think I need to say this again, except make sure your cell phones are on silent, and be kind, friendly, and safe. Okay. We all know about the sketch. Yes? If you don't know about sketch, then see someone in a Navy shirt or email us at inclusion@sccoe.org. In-person sessions, be aware some sessions fill up. We have signs that will say, sorry, we're full, because we have a fire marshal. So even if you registered for something on Sketch, we cannot guarantee that you'll have a seat. So that's the way it is. Sorry about that. We have stories, though. Okay. And then virtual sessions will be recorded, and they'll be available on our Inclusion Collaborative website in probably about 3, 4, 5 weeks, depending on how tired we are. Make sure you know about CEU. You can get the information on the Sketch resource link. You can get units from University of the Pacific. We also have professional development hours available in our research resource on the Sketch. And then make sure you please do your online evaluations. Did anyone get an email in the night? There you go, it's working. So please answer it, because we'll send you another one today. We need your feedback. Raffle. Are you guys excited? Raffle. We will have them posted at lunchtime today, okay? And everyone gets, there's 35 calming kits here. It's kind of exciting. Sponsors, we couldn't do it without our sponsors. First Five and the California One have been platinum sponsors, and we've had Brooks and the Discovery Source and Strong Start being very supportive, and Psych Services also. So thank you everyone for supporting us. And now it is my great, finally, exciting moment to introduce the impact of inclusion at Prospect High School. We have Principal Paul Pinza here. He's going to need to come up and change computers. Thank you for being here. We also have Bobby Jo Stewart. She's the special ed director, coordinator, chair. Oh, I was going to give you the director position. No. And then we have 4 amazing students here who are going to share their story about their impact of inclusion on Prospect High School. And we are delighted to have them here. So go ahead and clap for them. That would be good. And Mr. Pinza, are you mic'd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. It is our honor and privilege to be a part of the Inclusion Collaborative conference today. I can't thank Kathy and the county office enough for inviting us to share just a little bit of our story with regards to inclusion. By the way, I'm curious, how many folks are from outside of Santa Clara County, California? Right on. Yay, out-of-towners. Awesome. I'm Paul Pinza. I'm the principal at Prospect, and I'll introduce the rest of our team as they come up. I'll just start by providing a little bit of an overview of our school and our context, and then preview some of the work that we do, and then with Bobby Jo's help and the help of all our students that are here, we'll share some details about how the work has transformed the experience of what going to high school at Prospect is like for all of our students, regardless of what their narrative is coming into us. So by way of introduction, as Kathy said, on the end of our rows, our special ed department chair, Bobby Jo Stewart. Our student speakers, and I'll proceed from the far end towards me. We have Lauren Duesenberg. No? Yes? Okay, good. She gave me a look like I got her name wrong. And then Janelle Schumacher and Haley Stringer. And then here is Lalo Toa Tautolo. We call him Toa. And so you'll hear their testimonies in a little bit. Biriana Ramos has been feeling under the weather, so she wasn't able to join us today. And we are planning to connect with Coach Rob Mendez, who coaches JV football and has been working the past few months with us as a classroom aide and a paraeducator. And he should be connecting with us by video a little bit into the presentation. So I'm very grateful for the team to come out in the middle of homecoming week. To share our story with you. So I'm really grateful for the students and everyone for being here, both live and by video. So I'll share a bit of a context about our school so you can kind of get an idea of the environment that we're working in. Santa Clara County is a hugely diverse area, and Prospect seems to sit right in a nice nexus of that diversity. So you'll see just over a third of students are Latinx. We have a quarter of the population that is white or from European origin, another quarter that's Asian, and those two categories, white and Asian, we know that they cover a wide diversity within them. Our Asian students hail from both the eastern side of Asia, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, but also the southern side of Asia. We have Persian students, students of Indian and Pakistani extent. So even those two terms in and of themselves cover a wide range of diversity. And then we have 4% of students identifying as African American, 4% Filipino, and 4 to 5% as the potpourri at the end of there. So we're a high school of just over 1,500 students. Our enrollment is holding steady and even growing a bit. So That's somewhat unusual. A lot of families are being priced out of Silicon Valley, and so a lot of our feeder schools are seeing some drops in enrollment, but we're kind of an oddity. We kind of run against the trend. We're seeing increases in enrollment. And I did want to point out, again, just on the diversity front, over 2/5 of our students are multilingual, meaning they're either certified as English learners, though we're trying to move away from that term in the name of inclusion. We like to call them multilingual scholars, and as an asset-based rather than a deficit-based term. So 44% of our students are multilingual, and we have the highest concentration of immigrant students in the district. 1 in 6 students at Prospect was born outside of the United States, and they represent over 50 countries across the globe. So we're very proud of our role as a nexus of diversity in the Campbell Union High School District. And that diversity is not just ethnic, it is geographic. We pull from San Jose and 2 of its suburbs, Campbell and Saratoga. We have over a quarter of our students that identify as first generation, either first generation that would go to college or even first generation graduating from high school. And more than 2/5 of our students come from households with no college degree. And there is a bit of a misnomer in terms of the economics of San Jose/Silicon Valley. In particular, folks from outside the state, if they hear of the area, they think of a lot of tech millionaires and really high rents and mortgages. Yeah, we pay those, so that's true. But what often gets missed is that there's a real diversity economically in this area. And so what I've highlighted here are the zip codes from which our students hail, and then also the median home income from those zip codes from 2018. And I just want to highlight that as of 2018, the federal poverty level was established at $63,000, which means that in order to qualify for a free and reduced lunch, your income could be up to $117,000 and change. So when you compare that to the median incomes from the areas that our students are coming from, the households that our students are coming from, yes, we're technically in Saratoga, and so the 070 is a wealthier area in terms of the home values and the median income. But truthfully, 4 to 5% of our students come from that area. And so the vast majority of students are coming from communities that are experiencing varying degrees of economic struggle. So in addition to the ethnic and the cultural diversity, there's a real economic diversity that cuts across all of our student body. And we all well know that that impacts the teaching and the learning experience in the classroom and the experience of the community outside the classroom at school, right? We'll talk special ed specifically. We have 3 different special ed programs. We do have a moderate to severe program on campus with 24 students, and those students are primarily in self-contained classroom environments. We also have a specialized therapeutic model, which for those of you that have been doing this a while, ED was the old term, and so we call that now therapeutic model, and we have 12 students in that. And then our mild moderate population continues to grow. So right now, the mild moderate population alone is about 10% of our entire student body. And as we see the numbers over time, our enrollment is definitely increasing, and we can see that students with disabilities account for a large number of that increase. So more and more, we have to be very conscious of how we're delivering services to make sure that it's structural, it's sustainable, and it's uniform and consistent. And that's why inclusion plays a key role. Matter of fact, when you add in 504 plans at Prospect, 1 out of every 6 students has a plan with accommodations in it. And so I'm really proud of the way that we've tried to build that sustainability through inclusive practices. And again, that's what we're here today, is to talk about what we have going on at Prospect to make our environment more inclusive and more beneficial and more effective for all students. We do have co-teaching in the English and Biology department. Bobby Joe will talk about that in a minute. We also are very proactive in taking our moderate and severely disabled students and pushing them out into the general education, usually in the areas of PE or in the arts electives. In fact, we just launched a dance class this year for the first time, and our moderate severe students are some of the most enthusiastic students in that class. They absolutely love to get on stage and perform. And so I'm very proud of the work Bobby Joe and the special ed department has done to really make inclusion the way we do things. This chart shows you the yellow on top would be the number of students that were scheduled in 2 or more special ed department classes or SAI classes versus the blue number, which represents those students that had 0 or 1 of those classes. And as you can see, even as our population has grown, we're now at the point this year where a solid majority of students in special ed have an inclusive schedule. They have no more than 1 SAI class on their schedule, and that's over 100 students out of our population. And we're very, very proud of that. And we're finding that they are starting to have success in these inclusive environments, even though we're very early in the process. Students with IEPs are as successful in co-taught bio as their colleagues are in general ed bio without a co-teacher. And these students are actually 6% more successful in co-taught English 1 than their colleagues would be in English 1 without co-teaching. So we're starting. So we're already starting to see positive signs, even though we're very new in the process. And to talk us more about what that process has looked like at Prospect, please welcome our Special Ed Department Chair, Ms. Bobby Jo Stewart.
Good morning. So I am the special ed department head at our high school. I'm also in all co-taught classes for English. It's been a whirlwind. First, this is what I was told when we started. If this was easy, everyone would do it. It has been challenging, but it has been rewarding in the end. So I think the big piece when we went through the training 3 years ago, we knew it would be challenging, but we're working forward and we're getting more interest from more teachers who want to join us. And asking us, what is this about? So we are doing really well. So here's a picture of co-taught. My freshman teacher here that I'm with, her and I teach 2 freshman classes of English. And over here is the senior teacher. She also teaches 2 sophomore classes with me, but she has a senior class with the other special ed teacher, Julia Johnson. And then this is our biology group. This year, Dean and Ben did 2 classes together. We also grabbed another teacher in gen ed who is working with Ben. So we've expanded to some other teachers in our department and in the general ed. So how it started out, I just want to tell you how it started out for us. Get an email. Are you interested in co-teaching? Yeah, I am. I think I've always believed in inclusion, and I've always tried to find ways to involve every student on campus. But so we met. I said, you and you are going with me to this meeting. That would be the 2 teachers I teach with, and we're gonna do this, okay? They just went with me. They didn't argue. We spent the summer planning on how we were gonna teach. We just planned on how we were gonna divide up the work, who was gonna teach, because there's many different models in co-teaching, and we alternate, and then we stand by side, and we have mini sessions in between everything. So we do a lot of different strategies in the class, and each year it changes with each class, by the way. And then once a week, we had planning once a week. And this was a difficult one for us because last year I had 5 new sped teachers under me, so this one was a difficult one. But we had rules. I was never to be taken out for anything. not as a department chair, nothing. Admin supported it. I never came out of the classroom. So we had hard choices to make, but admin supported us and the other teachers supported us. Some of our hard choices were all freshmen came into co-taught classes. We went to RTICs, they all came in. The hard choices were, is this the right placement? How is this impacting them socially, emotionally? So some kids we did have to strategize and maybe move them back for a year and then the next year put them back in to co-teaching again. A style of teaching again, alternate teaching, team teaching. We constantly reviewing data, going over tests. Some kids, you know, who inferences are hard, that question might need to be changed if we want to know the facts. If we want to know if they know the facts, or are we really asking inference because we didn't teach that? So we are questioning each other. So review of the data, lesson plans again, I said, management, grading, sharing the love. Site support was important. We got all of that. And then this is our second year. Freshmen all went in. Sophomores got dumped in with me, but they're all in a junior co-taught class and they're doing well. So our freshman group is the group we're really following. And then, so this year is our second year. And what we're really doing is how to support each other. Someone had mentioned self-care. So we meet once a month on a Wednesday night, and we don't talk about school, we just hang out. So we do a little self-care too. You have to have that. Word is spreading. People are coming up and saying, so when is this co-teaching thing and are you having training? Can I check it out? Yes. So I have a list of people going forward because we want co-teaching in every subject, core subject on our campus. We're working on universal design for learning because if I can spend 2 years with one teacher and we can learn this and we can work on this, then I can go to another teacher in another 2 years and I can spend time with that teacher and work with them. So because we all get trained as special ed teachers on supports and how to accommodate and how to make changes. Gen ed teachers, that's not their expertise. And they're gonna teach the way they teach, so we have to learn with them on how to make the classroom work. Again, we added more teachers this year. Students that weren't sure if they were gonna make it as juniors are doing really well. And yeah, we have to work hard. We have to work hard every day we show up and we have to make adjustments every day. But students are feeling like they're included. And you love to hear in an IEP meeting when a parent says, he should go back to SAI. But he can do it. And so we're celebrating the fact that a parent's letting us keep our kid as a sophomore instead of putting him back into SAI because he can do it. It just takes a lot of work on our end to get to where we need to go with him. And he's willing to do the work. So what we envision is that co-taught teams are in each core subject, and we have 2 to 4 teachers in general education as part of those co-taught groups. So it doesn't have to be, eventually I can be with 2 freshman teachers and not just one, the same teacher for 2 periods. Because I think about our campus, I think about all students feeling included. And students want to be with their peers. And their self-esteem in high school is really impacted that they're separated from everybody else because they're going to that classroom that nobody else goes into. So if you're very conscious of what students feel, you have to make the difference and make them feel successful in the class. They learn socially and they're learning and giving the opportunity, and it's going to be hard. The biggest challenge is when you're a high school trying to do this piece and you have feeder schools who aren't there with you yet, it's a huge adjustment. So a lot of people, because there's a lot of people in this room, it makes me excited to see all these faces. At what level you're at, trying to push to make kids feel included, whether it's socially, economically, or learning, it makes a difference on our campus. So, is this yours, Paul? Or that's mine? Yes. So inclusion. Co-teaching has allowed us to move forward with inclusion. And the further we go into inclusion, this is the starting place for us. This is where it's making a difference, making learning meaningful and not just a seat in a class. And that's what I felt like when we pushed in. We just put a student in there and say, okay, we'll give you accommodations, good luck. And if you don't do well, we'll bring you back. So making it and delivering it so it is supported and students are able to be successful. So we've been doing really well. And I'm really proud of my team and really proud of our admin supporting us.
Thank you, Bobby Joe. Thank you, Bobby Joe. We're so proud of the work that she has done, that her team has done, to bring inclusive practices to all of our classrooms and our structures for where students are placed and how we support them. But inclusion goes beyond the classroom. It has to be a part of the school culture. We don't want students to feel welcome and supported in the classroom, but they don't feel that way at brunch or at lunch or after school. So I wanted to highlight our investment in inclusion beyond the classroom, starting with athletics. We are very proud to see more athletes this year who are playing sports with IEPs. We've seen a big increase in that, and I think that is a real testament to the culture that our athletics director and our coaches and our activities director, they've really leaned into the work as well. And that's critically, critically important. So you can see up here that currently we have 31 fall athletes with an IEP or a 504 plan, 17 on the football teams alone. So one of the things I'm most proud of in terms of our football program, and Coach Rob will speak to this in a minute, as well as will Toa, is that our football team has really needed a cultural reset a couple of years ago, and Coach Rob was a big part of that. And they have blossomed into proud young men and young women, I will say, who really represent our school, because when you look at them, they represent our school. So I'm very proud of the work that athletics and particularly football has done. By the way, our football teams also include eight multilingual students on the roster of not quite 50. And then I highlighted in the box below some of the things that our homecoming activities have also been restructured and rebranded with more of an inclusion mindset. I wanted to highlight a couple of examples. Last year, 28% of our students with IEPs attended a homecoming event, either the football game or the dance or the night rally that we have. And I applaud our activities director and our ASB leadership for really being very mindful and intentional with rebranding how homecoming occurs. A couple of small moves they've made that I think have a big impact is that they moved away from the traditional homecoming court with a king and a queen. And in order to be more inclusive of students across the entire gender spectrum, we now do homecoming royalty. 3 students, you're the homecoming royalty. There's no king and queen anymore. Furthermore, they've taken the traditional powder puff activities where girls play football and boys are cheerleaders. And we've done away with those binary norms as well. So now we don't do powder puff, we do flag football and cheer. And students across gender identities are invited and welcomed to do either one, provided that they don't do it officially for the school's team. Right? So you can't be a football player under Coach Rob and play flag football in homecoming. But outside of those requirements, there are no longer any gender restrictions or expectations tied to that. So I really applaud our ASB for making that move in terms of our homecoming court. And so I want to jump our schedule a little bit because it looks like Rob has connected with us. So I want to switch over here.
Thanks for having me, and I wanted to touch base on how important inclusion has been a part of my life. my parents included me into lifestyle when I was 18 months. So I was already just active in preschool. And from there, I think the team that was working with them, my counselor, my physical therapist, my doctor, I think they all did a great part on focusing on, just like how I said in the SE speech, on what I'm able to do. So, they started thinking like, they put me into special ed right off the bat. And then they started realizing, you know what, maybe he wants to be a part of this, maybe he wants to be a part of that. So as time progressed, my dad and also myself started realizing how I can include myself. So I ended up being part of the band. And my dad included me, and the band teacher kind of questioned it, and he asked me, which thinking back on it, it's kind of understanding, what can I do for the band? So I ended up just kind of wedging a stick right here, the drumstick, and I was just a drummer boy, just kind of drumming to the beat. And so I was a part of the middle school band, and I thought that right there was a big part of me just wanting to be a part of more things. So inclusion was a big part of my life, and it led me to actually self-confidence. I ended up, being more confident by trying out to being a part of the baseball team. I knew I wasn't going to be able to be a pitcher, but my uncle was the head coach of the team, and he included me on making the lineup. And I'm sure looking back on it, he probably changed the lineup because all my friends were batting in the beginning of the lineup. But no, it was just such an uplifting feeling for him to include me on that. And thinking back also when my friends included me, I was always the referee in the cul-de-sac. I lived in a small cul-de-sac, and I couldn't really play with my friends, but they always thought of ways for me to participate. So for instance, whenever we played flag football, my wheels, they threw the ball at my back wheels, and if they hit my wheels, it was a completion. I thought that was so cool because I was actually contributing to the team and running routes out there and just being part of the boys. So I think a lot of the times, especially in education, inclusion can be overlooked. And I think that it's a big way, or it's a way to really get some kids that don't, have a lot of confidence. And when you include them, they just really, they'll develop ways where they can include themselves. And I think that's what led me to football, is that when I was, a part of the baseball team, obviously it's not football, but it also led me to being confident to want to be a head coach. And it took me 12 or 13 years, but I still accomplished being a head coach. And at the end of the day, inclusion brought confidence and happiness to me. So thinking back on it, I think a lot of my parents, my team, my counselor, my teachers, always including me on being a part of the classroom. And the idea of inclusion transitioned to Prospect with the staff and administration. So I really think, Prospect on focusing on inclusion and really bringing it to the attention of others. So I'm really appreciative of being a part of Prospect and this inclusion movement. And so if you guys have any questions, I'm totally free to answer any questions that you guys have for me.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll bring a mic around. We'll bring a mic around if anyone has.
This is another example. We got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Good job,
Coach, thank you so much. We know you're not feeling at your best, but we really appreciate you taking the time to virtually be with us. We're
did a couple shoulder rolls and neck rolls and try to get myself into it. So.
All right, here we go.
Hi, my name's Jules, and my question is, What was the process that you used to recruit more students with IEPs to the football team?
I would just say, always focusing on the fact that everybody matters. And, I don't really focus on, what their IQ is or anything like that. I always made sure that they were a part of the team. So I think, when I focused on that foundation right there, it encouraged them to notice what I noticed about myself, which was just focusing on what I can do. So just giving them the uplifting feeling of being a part of the team, I think really led them to wanting to be a part of the team. So yeah, just focusing on what they were able to do, and that is what I call a non-negotiable. Everyone matters on the football team.
I'll just add real quickly that our athletic director, as well as Coach Rob and our varsity coach Mike Cable, they have never put an emphasis on the competition and the athletic ability and the wins and losses. It has always been about character for them first and foremost. And so I think the fact that they lead with that and not lead with, you better run fast, you better throw the football well, you better block well, etc. That creates that inclusive culture that makes more students think about, hey, maybe I can go out for the football team. Maybe there is a spot there for me. So I just wanted to call that out as the culture that our athletics folks, especially in football, but across the board, have really fostered at Prospect.
Definitely. That was something I spoke to Coach Cable actually when I first met him. Was, I wasn't really focusing on the wins, and I was really hoping that wasn't gonna, discourage him from hiring me. But I wanted to really convey that I wanted to change the culture at Prospect and make sure they believe in themselves and just create some kind of hope that life, that life is a blessing, and that was my main goal, was to really focus on their well-being and care for them first and foremost before their abilities to catch football or throw football.
If there are one or two more questions.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Joe, and I hope I'm going to get this question right. And I think I'll open it up with just sort of a general question. If you could speak about the importance of including students with intellectual or cognitive disabilities in general education environments, but specifically after seeing this presentation about Prospect High and how there's a strong majority of students with IEPs that are included in the majority of their classes. I'm just curious if you could speak on when they have an intellectual disability and tie it to your experience, where if you had to, go to a physical therapy class or a class that would focus on some of your deficits, but maybe how that could have been supported in the general education environment.
Have you interacted much, Rob, with our sales program?
I have not. No.
Okay.
I'm trying to get a better understanding of the question. It was hard to hear him.
It was more about kind of across the spectrum of disabilities and connecting with students across that entire spectrum. So our sales program, that's our local name for our moderate severe program. So maybe you can just talk about being on campus as an aide, being able to meet students with a wide variety of stories coming in, and just speak to how you've been able to connect to students just by being on campus a little more.
Yeah, so working in the classroom, I experienced, how much, need they needed actually for sometimes just encouraging. When a lot of the times students just need encouragement. And for me, a lot of the, when I was a student aide in the math class, especially, they sometimes already knew what the steps, for example, PEMDAS, they knew their PEMDAS steps, but it was just me sitting there sometimes encouraging them I know you can do it, or, do you remember this step, or kind of just helping them throughout the process. It was really important for me to try to create hope, because whenever I created hope for them, it dictated their effort. And so for me, just to sit there with them and really encourage them, I felt like I created some kind of hope on themselves, and I felt like it dictated their effort, and they tried a little bit more when I was there supporting them side by side in the classroom.
That's great, and it segues right into our final question very well, which is, what are some ways that your peers have made you feel included authentically without feeling as though they were doing you a favor?
Say that one more time, Mr. Pinza.
So the question is, what are some ways, Rob, that your peers made you feel included authentically without feeling as though they were doing you a favor?
For the simple fact that, when, for example, you guys give me an away bus, I think that's so cool, and I'm so appreciative of that. And I know that you guys, or the districts aren't getting me a bus because, it's just simply them, you guys are really extending your effort into include me, and I really feel, appreciative for that. I just feel like that's a really authentic act on how you guys can really include me on being a part of it, as well as, just by putting me in the classroom. I was never a student aide before joining Prospect. I applied to many schools, and finally, landing at Prospect, I really felt like you guys thought I can help the kids, which, I knew I could, but I always felt doubted. And you guys didn't make me feel like that. The whole administration from top to bottom, including Bobby Joe, I can't thank her enough for how much she's done for me in the, in the classroom setting by, always coaching me up, because it was a different ballgame going from the football field into the classroom. So I was really appreciative on that right there, because I knew she knew I would be a good example for the kids, but I still needed her help on, certain situations, on handling certain kids. So that was a great way for me to, be included in part of that, in that area of the classroom. So thank you for that, as well as the rest of the administration. It was my first full-time job at a school district. So thank you very much for that. Yeah.
All right. And thank you, Rob, for answering our questions. We'll let you get back to rest and recovery. Take care, man. We love you.
Hey, thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right.
Yeah, please.
There we go. All right. Coach Rob's been working you guys hard and before the homecoming game, right, Atoa? Yeah. It's taking. Yeah. So it's taking a toll on him too. But you can tell Coach Rob he puts everything in, right? And that's why we're so grateful to have him. I want to switch gears and highlight our chapter of Best Buddies, which is hugely successful, and I'm so proud of the way our students from across the school have leaned into this program as a way to reach out and make our moderate severe program feel just as connected to the school and just as much a part of our community as everyone else. So I'll bring our student leaders up here to talk about Best Buddies. So we have, again, Janelle Schumacher, Lauren Duesenberg, and Haley Stringer.
Okay, well, I'm Janelle Schumacher, the president of Best Buddies at Prospect High School.
I'm Lauren Duesenberg. I'm the vice president of Best Buddies at Prospect.
And I'm Haley Stringer, and I'm the secretary at Best Buddies.
Some of you may have heard of Best Buddies, but I'll just give you like a little rundown. Best Buddies is an international nonprofit 501c3 organization and a global volunteer movement that creates opportunities for one-to-one friendships, leadership developments, and most of all, inclusion for students at Prospect High School. Prospect has taken on this program. We actually started about a year ago, and Prospect took on this program to make sure that students felt included, no matter their circumstance or anything like that. Since doing this, we feel that we have closed the separation gap on campus, and our goal is to include everyone, no matter their circumstances, so that one day they won't be defined by their disabilities, but by their abilities.
So at Prospect, we work to achieve this goal by holding meetings every other Wednesday at lunch in the cafeteria. And this just gives the buddy pairs a chance to just connect, get to know each other better, hang out, and just have fun. An important aspect of our club is being able to make lots of friendships and lots of new friendships. And one way we do this is by holding parties every other month. I mean, every month, once every month. And we just have a lot of food, games, and we play games as a whole rather than just between your buddy. So that gives you a chance to like just get to know a couple of new faces and just have a lot of fun. So, not too long ago, we had a matching party where students got to hang out, mingle, and just talk to new people, and they got to choose who they wanted their buddy to be for the rest of the year, so that was really fun. And when we plan activities, we try to make them as inclusive as possible. So this means that we make it that something that someone of any capability can do and have fun with. So some of the activities we've done this year include balloon volleyball, inflatable bowling, holiday crafts. We did Just Dance, where people followed along to like a fun video, and we're all dancing, so that was super fun. And we do like group team building games, like the Human Knot. We also value giving back to the community, as just last week we held a meeting where everyone got to gather, and we made yarn pumpkins to give to a retirement community. And so that was just really cool to see how our impact, we can just give back to the community and go farther than just our campus. So we are actually planning today to include students with disabilities in school-wide events. So as you heard, we have homecoming this week. So today we're going to be walking over to the Powder Puff game and just watching it together. Hopefully that includes them more. It'll just be super fun. So we're pumped.
So through the hard work of our amazing advisor, Monica, and our principal, we've been able to provide this unique opportunity to all students at Prospect for 2 years now. The club has been really fun, but we have a lot of really exciting future plans. So right now we're planning a field day, a Christmas party, prom, and a football game that's devoted to the students with disabilities at Prospect. So we have a lot of really exciting future plans. It takes a lot of work, but it's really rewarding to see how it pans out. We've grown a lot since last year. We had about 30 members last year, and now we have almost 80 members this year. So we've grown a lot, and it's really cool to see. At Prospect, we believe that everyone should have the opportunity to feel loved and accepted and included at school and in the community. And some may be treated differently because of their disabilities or any circumstances they have. And Best Buddies has been a really good way for us to reach out to those people and build a lot of really important relationships. We promote inclusivity so that nobody is alone in their high school journey, because this is a really important part of our lives, and everyone deserves an opportunity to go through that journey with friends and support. And anyone can be a part of this greater movement for inclusivity, whether it's getting to know someone that you wouldn't normally talk to or volunteering at events, and that's what Best Buddies has allowed us to do. So participating in such a big organization has been a really inspiring experience for all of us, and we're really excited to see where it can take us in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Great job. All right, next we'll hand the mic off to Toa, who's been a very active student athlete for 3 years. He's now a junior, and he'll talk about how the culture of inclusion has impacted him as an athlete and a student. So, Toa, you're up.
Hi, my name is Lalo Toa Tautolo. I'm a varsity football captain. Last year, many of you know, Coach Rob Mendez was the head JV coach, and he was featured on ESPN. And that was when I was a JV captain. And a lot of people see sports and they see people doing athletic things, running around, sprinting, things like that. When really football has improved my life, not just physically, but mentally. And last year, I learned a lot from Coach Mendez, and I didn't think I would to begin with, because, well, how can you learn something from a man with no arms and legs? And that was the first thing that came to my mind, unfortunately. Seeing him, one of the things that stuck with me was, don't complain, because it only makes things worse. And I think about it all the time, because Coach Mendez has a lot to complain about in his life. And he has a lot to focus about negatively. But he's happy. He lives a good life. He's out here smiling. He's out there on the field every single day, willing to work. And it changed my entire perspective on life. Why focus on the negatives about a person when you can be focusing about their positives? Why not include somebody because of the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they act, instead of the way they're willing to work? Why do they show up? It's one of the questions I always ask myself on the team. Why do they show up? They don't have to. Coach Mendez doesn't have to, yet he still shows up. And it's inspiring. I'm inspired by it. Every time I'm out there on the field, I look to my left and I look to my right, and I see my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen who are willing to put in work for this team. I'm grateful for playing football, and it's a privilege to be out there with Coach Mendez and my brothers and sisters. It's a privilege to be here with you ladies and gentlemen. I've never seen anyone on the team discourage a teammate because of the way they act, or the way they have or the way they face a mental or physical challenge. I've never seen it. I've never really seen it from other teams, and it's understandable, but after they get to know Coach Mendez, it changes in an instant. Outside of school, when talking to people about Coach Mendez, they say the same question: how can you learn something from a man with no arms and legs? How can he teach you about football? And my natural response is, well, have you met him? And then they ask, well, how's your season doing? And last year we won 8 games and lost 2. It was fun. And that's their same response, woo, or whoa. And it's kind of funny to see how people respond to it, because they question his physical and mental capabilities. And it's, yet again, why question another person? Why question another person's physical and mental capabilities? Why? Why? You can't judge someone based off of physical appearances. You got to get to know them. And I learned that from football. I'm happy I did. It made me a better person overall.
Thank you, Toa. You can bring that back. You can take that back. Thank you. So at this point in the session, we want to open it up and just be a panel that can answer your questions. Inclusion is more than just about placing students in classes or figuring out which teachers they connect to or which case managers they connect to. Like it really is a cultural movement. And I think it's really important for schools and districts to see it that way. That's how we've approached it. And you know, I'm grateful for the students that have joined that effort. And as you heard, they're an active part of it. But as Bobby Joe said, lots of challenges currently, lots of challenges ahead. So any questions we can answer to help you maybe unpack some of the inclusion challenges in your environments, we're more than happy to do that. So at this point, we'd love to hear from you.
Can we have your mic?
Yes.
And they can use that?
Sure.
And we'll run around with two? Sure. Okay. Who has a question? Run.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. And speaking from a team, I teach kindergarten and first grade, working on inclusion, and for a lot of people in the room who teach early education, I just want to commend this team. It's so inspiring, especially the students. I am so blown away and a little emotional about it. It's just so amazing to see young people who truly care and have empathy and real respect for students with disabilities and with IEPs. It's so amazing for everyone in the room to see that and to hear it and have it be authentic. And I just am so excited for all of your futures, and you're just amazing people. Thank you for spending your day here with us to share that.
Hi, this is a question for the students as well as the principal, is that you have a lot of great organizations going and then constructs in the classroom. Are you seeing this in the social environment of the campus? Are you starting to see natural relationships and not groups being segregated on campus? Because on some campuses you see the SPED kids on one side and the certain ethnic groups on one side. So are you starting to see this difference in your campus as just naturally, socially?
Okay, when I was a freshman, coming into a new school, like you don't know what to expect. Whereas in middle school, the students were like segregated to one side and one table. And then when I got to high school, they just come out whenever, and I personally have experienced this when like we have a meeting at like lunch, like they just come up and they're like, can we go to the library? I want to see my favorite teacher or my favorite student or like my favorite friend or whatever. And so they just go right to the library and like they're always wandering, and like personally, I've gotten my friends and like other people to join Best Buddies, and they're like, oh my gosh, there's blah blah blah, hi, and like it's amazing to see like how much just a club and like having a coach at Prospect has really helped the Prospect community overall, and just seeing them out there like just hanging out with friends, and like whenever we have events in the quad, it's just amazing to see like them out there and participating. Like one time a club was launching shirts out, and they like got the shirt and they were like waving it around, and they were like saying like, oh my gosh, I got a shirt, and it's just so cool to see that.
Hi, my question is also for the Best Buddies Club. I wish this existed when I was in high school. How did you get this started, and also how did you recruit for it? Because I work for a public library, and I find that one of my biggest challenges is I can plan all these great things, and then actually getting people to come to them is really difficult. So just want to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, this year we did a lot of marketing, which really helped. Yeah, we created a video to play in like the daily bulletin, which helped. And just having a principal who's so supportive and an advisor who's so supportive, and like you can visually see that around campus, really helped. But
Yeah, so the club got started, actually it was her sister a year ago. Our advisor, the teacher, she knew about Best Buddies, and so we reached out to them. I actually have the email if any of you want to reach out so that you guys can get it at your schools. And that really helped. And so last year, her sister went to the conference, and then we actually went to the conference. That's where we got our shirts from the conference. And they really taught us a lot about like how to reach out. And we actually collaborated with some of the schools in our district, and we asked them, because some of them are like, they have so many students, and they have too many students that so many that they are like, it's like a school-wide thing. And so we were like, how do we get this like at our school, and like how do we get more students to join? So we put out like a lot of flyers, and then I say this to like my friends, like I invited my friends, and then they invited their friends, and then soon when you're sitting at a table and you're like, where are all my friends? And they're like, at Best Buddies. And so then they're like, so then they start coming, and it's just like, it was amazing to see how many students we got out there the first time, and like how many have come back and like really enjoyed it. The students are like blown away. And yeah, and so we did flyers, we created a video, we just had some of them. It was like a 30-second video, and we just said, like, come to Best Buddies, like, this is what it is. And we had someone do, like, a handshake, which, like, showed that, like, they really connect. And it was really amazing, and, yeah, so.
Okay, I think it's a great, I have a friend who coaches basketball, and 10 years later after he's graduated, he's still best buddies with his person. I say, how do you know him? That's so-and-so's son. We're best buddies from high school. Oh, yeah, so, it does extend past high school. So the question I had, what were some of the challenges that students had with co-teaching? It wasn't the co-teaching piece with two of us in the room. Part of it was, as someone had mentioned, those earlier grades and trying to get inclusion going on in the earlier grades. So when they get to us, because it's a shell shock, one, you have two teachers, that's fine. It's getting used to the rigor of being in a gen ed class is where we see the struggles. And when I have my table before a test and we're studying and going over the study guide, all the kids try to hijack the table. So at one point I had somebody, an ELD student, and I said, he's not, but he was welcome in my group, and he was taking advantage of the situation. And so a lot of them tend to, because they want to fit in their freshman year, they're very quiet. And then it's always a check-in. We've gone to after every grading period, 6 weeks, we conference every student in every class that we're co-teaching in, and we talk about the grade. What can we do to get this grade up? And I have a backup system, so if they don't turn in their homework, I have to follow up and support the student, figure out why the homework didn't get done. So they're getting followed a lot, so they feel like they're supported, because when they get to sophomore year, I don't have to chase them down anymore. They're school looping me saying, I needed to take the test in a separate environment, Mrs. Stewart, or I missed a homework. Is it on school loop? So now as sophomores, they're doing great because they're advocating and they're reaching out to both of us as teachers, but because they're freshmen, they don't know any different. It is what it is. But the struggles are more of the rigor of high school and asking to be, you have to turn in all work. No, you don't just get to skip it because you didn't understand it. So that's been the biggest challenge for freshmen coming in, is the rigor of high school has changed. But otherwise, they don't want to leave, because I said, maybe we look at a smaller environment. Nope, I'm good where I'm at. Okay, then we need to do more work. So, and then just trying to support them on what does that look like, and that's hard for them, because a lot of these kids were in self-contained classes in middle school. So I hope I answered that question okay.
I'll just piggyback on that. I worked at Overfeld High School, which is on the east side of San Jose, before I came to Prospect, and we rolled out co-teaching across multiple subject areas over the last 3 years that I was at the school. And we also had a lot of informal kind of co-teaching. We had teachers in different subjects who partnered together a lot. And so what was fascinating to observe is that the students in the classrooms are trying to figure out the dynamic of this new teacher partnership, often at the same time that the teachers themselves are trying to figure out that dynamic. So it definitely takes time. You've got to allow multiple years. But I'll share one quick example. There was an English and a history teacher that did a lot of work together at Overfelt. And they shared with me, they connected a lot with the young ladies in their classes in particular. And so they shared with me that it got to the point where there was one teacher that those young ladies would approach if they decided not to go to a four-year university after graduation, if they opted for community college. They all went to one side of the partnership, not the other. But if they got pregnant, they went to the other teacher and absolutely avoided the other. So they understood the dynamic so well that they understood whom they wanted to break different kinds of news to understand the kind of response that would be best for them. So my suggestion for those diving into co-teaching: give it time, be patient. Administrators, be patient with it, because it really is all about relationships, and you're exponentially expanding the relationship by adding a partnership in the classroom. It's well worth it, but boy, give it time and give it space to grow.
We have a question here.
Again, thank you so much to all of you. I wanted to really especially appreciate you for sharing your football experience. That was really beautiful, and I would love to know what you all want to do when you grow up at some point, and if you're going to continue this moving forward. But my real question was, there's a lot of really wonderful things happening at the school, and we always think about funding and capacity. And so for things like the away bus or different materials or tools that students need, or the capacity to have extra people in the classroom, or materials for the events that you're throwing with all of the students, where does the money come from? And do you have creative solutions for those of us who might want to implement something like that too?
I'm on the demanding end, so I don't know.
You have to microwave.
I'm on the demanding end, so I just say, I need this, this is what we need.
And it works.
Please figure it out.
And then I turn to my secretary and say, let me know how much it'll cost, and then figure it out.
So for Best Buddies, we started this year, we're working with Jamba Juice. So they gave us a bunch of little coupon cards that get you a discount, and so then now we go and we sell them to people in the neighborhoods that we live in, or to the parents of the kids that are in Best Buddies, and that's been a major way for us to raise money. We haven't really done it before, but it seems to be working really well.
Yeah, we received 40% of it, so that's pretty good. We just went around the neighborhood and we're like, we're Best Buddies, a quick 20 seconds of what we are, and then that quickly got us started with the jump start into our club, because we can provide materials like yarn and stuff like that to do activities.
Yeah, we also connected with the parents this year. We went into school night where the parents come in, and we just talked about our movement, and they were willing to donate, so that's where a lot of the money came in.
And then kind of on a serious note, from the administrator side, despite the demographics that I showed earlier in terms of household incomes, we are not a Title I school. So the resources are limited. And I've just found that we need to be really clear about what we're about, so that those priorities and spending are super clear and super transparent for everyone involved. And so hopefully the staff and the students kind of understand where I'm coming from in terms of that. When I look at our vision of owning our future, I'm all about the hour, and I don't want any student to be excluded from that. So that's my approach. I mean, the resources are limited, but I just got to be real clear about the priorities, and inclusion's one of them. And so just be upfront with it.
And as for sports, we do fundraisers where we sell coupon cards around local neighborhoods and introduce ourselves, introduce what sport we're playing, introduce what we're trying to implement with the change in culture, and just get to know our community better. And that really helps with all the transportation funding and whatnot.
Thank you. I just wanted to say hello to Toa. I've known Toa and his family since he was 5. I did not have the opportunity to be your teacher, but I had your little sister in my class, and he comes from an amazing family. And it does not surprise me for a moment that you are here representing your team and your school so beautifully. And I am very proud of you for being the team captain that you are and the amazing man that you've become. And will you please tell your mommy and daddy I said hi? And I saw your brother sing the fight song at the San Jose State game. It's a Tautolo week. Congratulations for all that you've done.
Thank you.
While you're getting brave and we take one more question, a commercial break. Are you ready for this? At 1 o'clock, we have the Full Inclusion Pilot Program at Los Angeles High School will be presenting, and they actually flew up here to do this. So they're on our program, they're in the Saratoga room. And then we have Best Buddies, Circle of Friends, and Special Olympics doing a nice session in the afternoon in the Gilroy room. It's hard to see. And they're going to share how they have built inclusion on school sites. So it's just amazing to see Best Buddies. Locally, I've worked with quite a few. We helped support another school in your district who has school-wide Special Olympics, and it's just been amazing to see the transformation in the student bodies.
Okay, the email for any of you who want to email her and ask to get the Best Buddies program at your school is Kelsey, K-E-L-S-E-Y, Roland, R-O-L-A-N-D, at bestbuddies.org.
And you can email inclusion@sccoe.org, and we'll send you to her also.
What? Oh, Kelsey Roland at bestbuddies.org, K-E-L-S-E-Y, R-O-L-A-N-D, at bestbuddies.org.
Thank you. Any other last questions? Virtual people? Let's not forget them. Okay, this was awesome. Thank you very much.